We're going to talk about dimensioning our puzzle cube parts now. And I'm going to actually go to one of my puzzle cube parts in my sheet set. Here we go. So I'm just going to click on sheet number 2 here. I'm going to bring this up. Now there are some rules about dimensioning, and we'll cover them a little bit more in depth, and I'll talk about the ones that kind of come up while I'm doing this puzzle piece right here, dimension-wise. And the first one I want to mention to you is you want your dimensions to be between views. So, like, I want any dimensions that I'm going to do between here and up in this area. Those 3 areas are where I want to put my dimensions. Now, when I go to do dimensions, alright, I'm going to go to annotate, and I'm going to select the word dimension right here. Now I'm going to come out, and I'm going to put my cursor, I'm going to show you this real quick. I'm going to put my cursor right on the corner of that, right there. Then I'm going to move to the right until I find another corner, which happens to be right there. I'm going to click again, and I've got a nice dimension here. Now, I want you to watch. As I move this up, what's going to happen is when I get far enough away, come on, see it just turned dashed right there? The vertical lines are dashed, and the ones that go between the arrowheads are also dashed. I'm going to put that dimension right there. That's the proper distance from the object line. This is called the object line, and this is called the dimension line. And that distance for the first dimension is 3/8 of an inch. Here's another thing I'm looking for. Remember I said I clicked on that corner, and I clicked on that corner? I did that because I need this gap right here between the dimension line and the object line. If I see something like, whoopsie, come on. If I see something that looks like this, if you click down there at the bottom, you see that? There's no gap there. I will circle that and deduct points for that. So you don't want that. You want this. Now, here's the other thing that I'm going to tell you. When we're doing this view, we go from left to right. So we go from the left side towards the right side. So I'm going to start my dimension tool again. I'm going to click on that corner, that first corner again. I'm going to come across, and I've already got that corner dimension. I'm going to come down here, and I got that corner to dimension right there. I'm going to pull this up straight. I'll zoom in on this again, and watch what happens when I get the proper distance away from the 0.75 one. It highlights again, and I just click and drop that dimension. So I've gone from the left to the right, and I've got all the corners. We dimension anything that has a corner. Now, on the front view, we're going to go from bottom to top. So between these 2 views, we go from bottom to top. So I'm going to zoom in here so you can see it. I'm going to click on that dimension, that corner, and this one. I'm going to pull this out, zoom in so that you can see. And when I get far enough away, it highlights. I'm going to left click. I'll do my dimension again. And this is where you got to be careful. Don't click on that end of the dimension line. You want to make sure you get the corner. And then I'm going to zoom in up here, and I'm going to get this corner. And you see that comes out at an angle. That will change. And I come out until that meets or comes out there. Notice none of these dimension lines cross. The shortest dimension is always closest to the object lines. Shortest dimension closest to the object lines. Longest one is all the way on the outside. So I've got the overall length of the part. I've got the overall height. The last thing I need is the depth dimensions. And the depth dimensions are going to go on the top view here. So the dimension tool is active. I'm going to click on the top corner and this one. And I'm going to pull that out. and then I'm going to click here and down here, and I'm going to pull that one out until it highlights, and now I've got my overall length, my overall height, and my overall thickness also on this part. So this part right now is dimensioned perfectly. If you did something like this, oh, I'm going to put this one here and this one here, boom, and I'll just make sure I got enough dimensions on here, boom. That dimension there and that dimension there, that's called a double dimension. I will circle those two dimensions because this one here are double dimensions. They are dimensioning the exact same things. I will circle those and deduct points for those. So what I want you to do is, after you see Mr. Seward and you talk about how you're going to do your dimensioning, I want you to add dimensions to your parts.